All right. Hello, home service pros. Welcome to the Battle Plan Marketing Podcast, episode number 130. Today we have two special guests on the show, Nikki and John DeCausmaker. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Should have asked you guys first. They run two companies, Your Call Boss, which is a call center, and we'll talk about that a lot. And then they grew that out of their own service business in the lawn care and tree trimming business. So without further ado, welcome Nikki, welcome John.
Welcome to the Battle Plan Marketing Podcast for Contractors. Get actionable advice and tactics on how to grow your home service company. Plus interviews with industry experts dropping value bombs in marketing, sales, and operations. And now let's power up your home service biz with your host, Mark Ambrose of Battle Plan Marketing.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming on board. So we met, I don't even remember when that was, Flow Expo in Pomona, California.
Yeah.
It feels like it was a long time ago. I don't know. When was that? February, January? Do you remember?
I think it was like February. It was like it was our last second. I think we got the last booth. We
is that right?
Arizona. Yeah. We're like, heck, let's just give it a whirl. So it was really interesting. It was a different environment than what we would typically have gone to as far as like having a booth at. But it was fun. The people were really nice. Enjoyed it.
Do you guys go to service trade shows to promote Call Boss or?
So we do some, we do Service Autopilot. We do, there's a big one in Kentucky that we're going back to, a big trade show. Wow. Yeah, Equip Expo, yeah. And then we do some stuff like that. We do a lot of networking. That's helped out a lot. Word of mouth is for Call Bosses. That's been the big one for us. It's done really, really well. Once people realize how it can help them, I think it kind of speaks for itself. So that's been awesome.
Yeah, good. Word of mouth is a reflection of the quality of the service, right? So hats off to you there. Yeah, way to go. So tell us a little bit about what you guys do, where you do it, who you do it for, and we'll go from that and into your story of how you got into Call Boss from the service company.
Sure. You want to start?
You can go ahead.
All right. So Call Boss is a virtual office or an extension of or a primary of a service-based company's office, right? So we found that when companies small or big, one of the things they do a ton of marketing, they do all these things, but they're not answering the phone. They don't have the time. They're stuck in the office when they should be doing other things, and there's no real outlet for that. So we built this, and what we'll talk about a little bit later, but we built this off of needs that we had, and then we adapted it into a service for other companies. And we had a lot more people, like once they figured out what we could do and how we could help them, it just opened up a whole new world, right? So basically, if you get a phone call, we can answer it for you. We could be the primary person. We could be the secondary person. We could do callbacks. We could do upsells. We do a back office. So we can help with like text messaging or estimates and that kind of stuff. And we can adapt with the CRM or the software that you guys use. There's several that we have on our platform right now. As we grow, we keep adding more CRMs, and that just helps us broaden our reach. And it's done really, really well for us. And what's great is, what I feel is great, and Nikki and I, because we own a service-based company, there's ebbs and flows to every business. And there's times you're incredibly busy and you really, really need the help. There's times that it slows down. You don't really need the help. So a lot of companies will be out there and they just charge a flat rate. And it's a pretty large amount week after week or month after month. Where we have a minimum. As you get busy, your bill goes up because we're busy. As it goes down, your bill is less. So we have a minimum. So what we're really trying to do is we're trying to help you reduce your overhead in the office, help the office staff that you have be more proficient and be better with having an extra set of hands without having the responsibility to do the training, to pay for a full-time person. So
nice.
Very broad nutshell.
So for like HVAC and roofers, which are kind of seasonal and cyclical, you adjust to their market cycles as well there, it sounds like.
Oh, exactly right. So like we are heavy in the landscape world as far as a lot of customers we answer for. We have house cleaners and other things, but we are very like spring is super big rush, right? And then it dies down the summer, and then fall, huge hit again. dies down. Depends if they have Christmas lights, will dictate if they're busy or whatnot. And then snow. But yes, we want to kind of match with their flows. And where I would imagine like AC and heating, right? They're busy in the spring, summer. And then again in the winter, they get dirty busy as well.
Very cool. So you do a little bit more than just, or not just, but the answering service, if you will. It sounds like you're sending out estimates. You're doing what's maybe some text marketing to existing customers or something like that, or
I don't know if you do. Go ahead.
Well, it kind of depends on what the need is for that company. So say, for instance, we had an HVAC company. As long as we get the ins and outs of that business and what they want us to portray, we can give that information to all new leads and existing clients and help the best that we can. The only time we really run into a pickle is with scheduling because, every location is different and we don't know the ins and outs of cities. But if we know what cities they're in or if they have a service area map or something to kind of guide us, then we can absolutely grab in those new leads and at least normally get them into the system so they've got something to go off of.
Right.
Nice. So you're booking that, or you're trying to book that appointment on that incoming call.
Exactly. If we can close that sale for that new lead that's coming in for that company, that's the best case scenario, right? Give them as much information so they're not rolling down Google looking for the next person. Right. Stop with us, get us, and we can get them set up to get that info to go and move forward.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Basically, a lead wants to talk. They just want to talk to a live person, right? They want to know that, like, somebody's listening to them, their needs are being met, right? In some form. Getting an answering machine or nobody answering, that just is going to tick them off. And like what Nikki's saying, they just go right down in Google and find the next person. It's just too easy to find the next person.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, Google Maps or whatever usually is what they're looking at on a service-based business. And you bet they're just calling the next one. The number one crime in service business is not answering your phone, right? It's crazy.
It's a huge part. We go to a lot of conferences. We talk to a lot of people in our industry and other industries. And it just, that's why we started this. It blows our mind.
Yeah.
People are like, man, I spent X amount of dollars on marketing and I did all these things. And then they don't have an office. Or they're demanding they're so demanding on their significant other, either their wife or husband, like, well,
right.
They're going to answer the phone. Well, sometimes they need a break. Right? Sometimes they need a breath of fresh air. Something I think has kind of happened, and maybe Nikki's known about it, but it was kind of new to me a couple years ago, is, hey, we're having an all-company meeting, just letting you know, handing all the phones off to you guys. So, they're not worried about the phones not getting answered, and then they can go and do the stuff that's a little bit higher level, right? And I think that's all too often forgot about.
Yeah, I agree. Being in the marketing business for service companies, the number one, problem is the booking rate, right?
Yep.
Answering that phone, turning it into a booked job. Yep. And that's usually because of lack of call. I don't remember the exact stats, but if you get back to that lead within 1 minute, of course, if you answer right away, now you've got like a 200% better shot of booking that job. If you wait 5 minutes, you've lost more than 80%. Yeah. Of those calls, of those leads. And like you say, if they're paying for leads, which most of those companies are, man, that's just criminal. You just literally burning dollars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It still drives me crazy because people don't realize the importance of it. It's such a simple act, but they don't realize, man, there's just a better way, right?
Yeah.
That's what really makes us great, is that we take all the information and data from the company. We act as if, right? We're working remote, but we're part of the team. And so they know no different. And we have all the information to be able to answer the questions where, as a typical answering service, they just get the info and send it. We're asking the probing questions. Where is the issue in your system? How long has it been happening? Yeah. What sounds are you hearing? So that when we turn it over, that company can just hit the ground running and go.
Nice. So they've got more information.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little tough on your end for all the different CRMs, like learning how to book jobs and House Call Pro and Jobber and Service Titan and all that. It's got to be a little tough on your side.
It's a little tough, but I think as we grow, we've already have a kind of a game plan. We'll start breaking off into different groups and hey, you're in charge of these 3 or 4 CRMs. And some CRMs are way easier to use than others.
Yep.
Some of them you want to pull your hair out just because they're just not very user friendly. But I mean, at the end of the day, you just got to find that happy medium, that compromise. And really, the way we use, like we have a messaging system that we use with every customer, company that we're working for. So there's like duplicates that are going out, right? So they gets in their CRM, but they're also getting a message letting them know, like, hey, this action just happened, right? So we're being a little repetitive, but we're doing that just to be safe, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you're sending out notifications to the team or the boss or whoever. So let me ask you a question. How many out of every 10 customers, how many of them have a CSR, in place?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So it's really cool because of the way we have our system set up. Everybody learns everything, but we also have it where information is readily available and pops right up for that rep.
Nice.
So all my team is cross-trained and they do everything for everyone.
Nice. Mm-hmm. But what would you say, Nikki, like out of every 10 clients that you guys bring on, how many of them are they just solopreneurs, or maybe they have 2 or 3 trucks out in the field, but they have no office staff, or do they have office staff? How many out of 10 would have a customer service representative in-house, do you think?
You know what? It's probably half and half. There's about 50% for both. I have a lot of solo entrepreneurs still trying to answer the phone out in the field and stressed out, and that's where we come in.
Yeah.
But I also have the bigger companies where they've got 3 and 4 people in the office, and they just want that overflow help during those marketing times.
I see. That's cool. Mm-hmm. How about like the booking? How many out of 10 have a booking calendar on their website so people can book online? Any of them?
Yeah, a lot of them that use Jobber have it set up that way, and we are familiar with Jobber on the back end. So we're not necessarily on the website, but we're in Jobber. For all of the companies, for the ones that we get in the CRM for, the ones that we can send estimates for, we do have the ability to convert those estimates to one and then make those people clients and then move through the process of card on file. These are the things you need to know. And then the only part we don't do is actually schedule the job, but we do all the checks and balances to make sure that lead has been informed, they agree to the price, the card's on file. All they have to do is schedule the job.
Nice. Very thorough.
Mm-hmm.
Are there certain industries you guys seek more than others, or any home service industry?
So I think originally we went after lawn care because that's a world, right? That's what we knew, we felt most comfortable with. As we've grown, we've realized that like there's a huge need out there. And that's kind of why we went out to where we met you at, right? Well, I was like, oh my, everybody we talked to, they're like, oh, I still answer. Oh, my wife does. Oh, and I'm like, oh my, this industry, nobody even knows about this.
Yeah.
And so really, I think we're really open to any service-based industry. As long as they're nice. I think that's the big one.
Yeah.
A working relationship.
That's
as long as they understand we're partners in this and we need to know the information in order to be able to do a great job.
Right. Do you train your CSRs in a little bit of, each category, or do you have maybe CSRs who only work with plumbers or HVAC or lawn service or?
So right now they're kind of all mixed just based on the CRM they're using. Now on our training, it's 2 weeks of training, but what they just like what Nikki talked about earlier, there's like a cheat code we have in the back end, right? So they get to listen to calls, they listen to all those things as they're onboarding. And then but on the cheat code on the back end, it literally talks about what they are. Like if you look at ours for Little John's, when we have somebody from Callbox that answers, like they know, like, oh, Winterite comes in at this time. Oh, there's this comes in this time. So they know like what's coming in, what things that they can expect. So it's just education on the back end because we want to make them sound as knowledgeable as possible when they're answering the phone.
Nice.
They need to know, hey, you need to get the mower at a 2.5. Make sure the blades are at. They don't need to know all that. They just need to know like this is the process. This is what you guys do.
Right. Really asking questions, right? Getting like Nikki said earlier, what's your problem? How long are you experiencing it? What's happening? What are the noises you're hearing? Whatever, so on and so forth. Yeah. So more important to ask questions maybe than to have the bulk of knowledge about the particular industry or something.
Yeah. I mean, we're not that's the companies are the expert, right? We're just the tool to help them capture leads or talk to their existing customers.
Yeah, awesome. I really can't think of a single other thing in the service business that's more important than increasing that booking rate. And that comes from CSRs, answering the phone, live humans, friendly, trying to identify, showing you care. What's your problem? And let's get you on the calendar and book it right now. The impact is overwhelming, I imagine. Just mind-boggling.
We've taken guys into seven figures, these little companies that were just like, they couldn't figure it out. Like they were struggling, right? And then it's just like this massive amount of help. Like, oh my gosh, people are answering our phone. Oh my gosh, I have all these customers now, right? It's been that, like, that's Nikki's favorite is the little guys, because like you see the biggest difference.
I agree.
It's really interesting to see like this succeed just over doing one thing, right? Just one thing, just answering your phones.
Yeah, probably has I don't know, I'm just shooting in the dark here, a 20 to 40% increase in sales, maybe, just from having CSRs answer your phone and booking that job. But do you guys have any numbers there that show, the impact?
I don't know if we have to.
I don't think I have that stat with me today. I prepped a couple stats just to give you like an idea on the average day here at CallBoss. So first and foremost, though, our reps are all rock stars. We're only hiring the best. And if you don't want to put a good foot forward every day, this isn't the place for you,
Nice.
right? So you already know that the team that's answering is going to deliver. We take between 400 and 600 calls per day right now.
Wow.
And that's taking and making calls, but primarily taking calls. And then we're looking to expand and continue to grow. And we have that capability because we just went through like a really big hiring spree of people. But again, it's got to be great people. And if they don't fit the culture at CallBoss, then it's not going to work.
That's right.
Conversion rate, I would say with Little John's, I think that stat we can give, I think we're sitting around 30%.
We're 32% right now. And it's a little bit low, but it's also 100, it's literally 114 a day. Right. So that's understandable.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're sitting at like 13 point something percent, and they've been answering for us all this week. Actually, I got the stat for you because they answered for us all this week because we're down we run 3 office staff and we're down basically 2 right now on vacation or whatnot, and I think we're holding right at 40% close rate for this week.
Nice.
So.
Good.
And the cool thing about how CallBoss is set up for Little John's is we're only taking new lead calls. So existing clients, we do have a phone tree. It's an option if somebody wants to use it. So our existing clients are coming in-house first, while the new leads, if they can't get them in-house, they go to CallBoss. So they're getting priority so we don't lose those.
I see. And is that handled in a telephone software, or how do you handle that?
Yeah, in our telephony that we have here at CallBoss, you have the option to do that with the different phone trees if people want. Some people, it just depends on what the need is. And another cool feature that we just implemented now is while you're waiting on the phone after you've come in, we're offering seasonal messages about marketing things. Or right now is the time to get signed up for Christmas lights.
Beautiful.
So whatever those intros people want us to say, it's an add-on feature that we're able to deliver.
I like that. So are they giving you like special offers, seasonal special, like you're saying, Christmas tree? Mm-hmm. Or, maybe just for the next 10 days, here's a special offer on whatever?
Yep.
Yeah, and we run them on a week-by-week basis. So they can turn them on when they want them on and turn them off when they're done.
That's brilliant. Use that time on hold or whatever to promote, right?
Right.
Make every second count.
That's exactly right. You got them, right?
You don't want them to be on hold too long, but if they are, learn something about who you're calling, right?
I like it.
How else can they help you?
I like it. So your conversion rate you were talking earlier, was that turning them into booked appointments or?
Yeah, so our conversion rate on Little John's is all booked appointment. That's everything that we sold over the phone. So that's getting information, credit card on file, and then they get put within the system. So that's considered a lead transition to a customer, and then that's where we got our 40% from.
Nice. And you're getting the credit card info as well?
So yeah, so for Little John's, for Little John's, we've been doing credit cards for a long time, right? We're not rock shakers, I guess, necessarily, but like, I'm not waiting 30 days to get paid. If I do a service, I'm going to get paid the following week.
Yeah.
Right? We do HOAs, we do commercial build properties. Those are 30, 60, 90 days out. We're not doing that. We get paid 15 days of the first month. We're getting paid. And that's our mindset. And, we're not a bank. We're not trying to be a bank. We're not trying to carry your loan for you. So by doing that, it has made a huge difference in our business and cash flow.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think way too many people are scared of, or they want to complain about paying 3%. Sorry, go off on a tangent, but it's 3% is way better than having to wait for your money for 30, 60, 90 days and carrying that.
Yeah, or getting 0%, 90 days after, and making multiple follow-up calls and whatever, trying to collect that money. Having a whole accounts receivable department, it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Screw that.
Yep.
Financing. Do you guys help with some financing with these guys, or turn them on to financing companies like Green Sky or Interbank or some of these companies?
We don't. We could if the customer asks us, like, hey, this is who we recommend for any financing. We could do that. But we don't.
It's not really. Sorry, go ahead, Nikki.
I just said we just share our knowledge. So if they have questions about things along the way, we'll give them whatever information we have.
Yeah. It's not really something that's in your ballpark there, but, it is something for the listeners out there, in addition to having CSR, answering team, offering finance and getting paid right away. Yeah. Credit cards is, financing for those big jobs, you go out there.
We know a ton of guys that they go and do a big job and they get paid at the very end. I'm like, man, why aren't you getting half down?
Right.
Why aren't you getting stipends as you get closer to your jobs? Like, that's the stuff that's a little surprising to me.
Yeah, 100%. And you're more, you're going to get some of those bigger jobs you would have never gotten before. Not everybody's got 10 grand to, take a tree out of the backyard or something like that. So
what Americans ask, how big is my payment? Right. So if you go through a payment a company that they can get a loan from, right? They just care about the payment.
Yeah. Take the lesson from the auto industry, right? That's always down to the monthly payment. It's and which is a crazy payment nowadays. I just saw the other day that 1 out of 4 new cars payments are over $1,000 a month now.
Crazy.
Yeah. Everything's relative, I guess, but that's a house payment back in the day,
Yeah.
So the world has gone nuts, man.
Yeah.
So tell us about your story, if you don't mind. So you started in the lawn and tree service, and then this became a solution to a problem that was existing, or how did it work?
Yeah. So Little John started as a joke. We started Little John's LLC as for fun, and we're messing around. I worked in the fire department until 2010. Oh. I left there, was a foreman for a roofing company. And then we had a friend of ours, or call him a cousin, his name's Sonny. He's like, man, you should do lawn care just in case. I did 1 yard with him. Mm-hmm. We started Little John's LLC. And then I worked for my uncle at that roofing company. He laid us all off on a Monday. And so it was pure desperation is how we started Little John's. And then I think that evolved into making our rent the first month, like literally like dancing in our kitchen because we made it. Like, oh my God, we can stay here 1 more month. To $20, we had Little Caesars pizzas, which by the way is like still our kids like some of their favorite memories.
Right.
And then just learning, right? Understanding, learning as fast as possible. And then so we've been in business since 2012. And there was a time like pretty early on that we realized like the phones, right? How big of a need it is. And then we had come up with this game plan. Nikki worked in a call center when she was younger, and we had talked about it because we went out and hired other call centers.
Right.
Man, they are not really great, right? Like, or can we get them to do this or that? And then Nikki and I talked about it, and we're like, man, we could do better. And this is because we have that experience from a customer from a customer service side, from owning a service-based company. We understand what they need, right?
Right.
And we launched it, and it was, man, we might as well have been chiseling in stone when we first started because like it was so rudimentary. I have like notebooks and stuff, and just how we started it. And now we've evolved. Like we have software. We have like a legitimate call center software that's helping us out now. And now that we're we've taken our business, Little John's. We're doing well. We're gonna, we're over 7 figures. We're gonna hit in the multi-million, which is great. It's exciting.
Yeah.
But there's problems that come with that, right? There's issues that come with that, but it's learning. And then I think what's exciting about Call Boss is that Call Boss, we learned a lot from Little John's and moved it over there. And I think it's kind of interesting. It's not even that. It's really interesting that we can share some of the knowledge that we've learned along the way, and we're helping people like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you could do that, or I didn't know that was possible, or like, why aren't you doing this, or whatever. And that's evolved Call Boss. And now I think it's just time for us to open it up and let's see where we can take Call Boss now.
Yeah. Yeah. The sky's the limit, I would say, for you guys, because so many don't have it. They need it. There's a lot of one truck chucks out there. There's a lot of small operators, and they all need it. Even if they have one or two CSRs, like you say, overflow, seasonal demand, and it is, again, in my head, it's the single most important thing in running a service business. If you can't answer the phone and book the job, what the hell are you running ads for?
Well, exactly right. So, and that's the thing we talked about earlier about like how we set our pricing, right? So what does it cost to have a full-time office person?
Right.
Loaded with tax and everything, are probably $800 to $1,000 a week, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We have our pricing. We set our minimum for our full service is $127 a week. For our base, which includes up to 30 minutes, is $63 a week, right? Then if you go over the half hour, then it's $209 a minute, or you go over the hour, it's $209 a minute. But the reason we did that is so you can keep the amount.
Yeah.
It's way cheaper to do that than have to hire multiple staff in your office.
I like it. And then you lose that person maybe, to a bigger company who's got better benefits or something like that. And poof, you're starting all over again, So good for you guys. So do you train your CSRs in-house? Do you send them out? How's the internal training going for you guys?
Go ahead.
We have a team trainer, and she's amazing. And everyone's remote now. So once COVID, we had just got a physical brick and mortar, and then COVID happened. So we only had it for about, 3 months?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Wow.
I started it for 3 months because we had to pay for it. I used to go to the office and it's like, man.
So it didn't stay. And so then we opened it up. We always thought it'd be a benefit to work from home, perk. And now it's the standard.
Yeah.
So we hire people all across the U.S., and we get on Zoom together, and we screen share, and we go through the training. You learn the different CRMs that we're working in, and then our telephone system to be able to answer all the questions and find the information.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's a beautiful new remote world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And the talent you can find out there is incredible, right?
Say again. Sorry.
The talent that Call Boss has been able to find is incredible.
Hey.
We're different. And I know every company says they're different, but we're different as far as like this is almost kind of like a lifestyle company to work for, right? Like you can have certain days off. Like we have a ton of moms that work for us. We have people who just they love the ability that they come in and they work and they know they can be off at a certain time, right? We staff for that, right? We wanted people to have the best of both worlds. Times are changing, right? And we want people to be happy. We have one of our supervisors who lives in the middle of Oregon, in the middle of nowhere, raising chickens, and just because that's what she wants to do, and but she's happy for it, right? She's happy that she didn't have to travel somewhere, and so I think we have amazing. We've been blessed to have some amazing people because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I agree. You can definitely there's a greater talent pool, right, than your own local area or the people who are willing to move to your local area, right? One of my brothers works for a big company who I won't name, and they're based, I think, kind of near you guys in the Phoenix area. And they had a hard time bringing in, people didn't want to move to blazing hot Phoenix.
Yeah.
And now they don't need that. Now they can be remote. Although the top dog CEO is old school. It's like I need to tell my people what they need to do every day.
Yeah.
No, man. No, you don't. This isn't a dictatorship. How come a democracy is the best form of government, but a dictatorship is the best form of business? What the hell is going on here?
Right.
So, the talent pool is way bigger. You got the whole country or even the world, perhaps, depending on, what type of business you got. So, yeah, I agree.
For some Canadians, so we have some Canadian companies.
There you go. See that?
Yeah.
North America, South America, Central, wherever. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So are you after hours also? So it's got to be hard, right? You're the whole country, right? So you got all these different time zones. So do you do 24 hours, or do you have a cutoff time, or?
Yeah, we don't do 24 hours, but the way we deal with time zones, we literally have people from North Carolina all the way through Oregon, right? So we're able to stagger
Oh,
and we're able to
beautiful.
help with that, right? Now it works out great. Answer overnight, weekends we haven't done. We actually had a service that answered for us, nights and over weekends. It was not great. Like it was like they were not happy to answer the phone, like, oh, well, you're bothering me, what do you want, kind of thing. And I just didn't really see a ton of benefit of it. And I think that we need to focus on the best talent we can get. And I think the best talent we can get Monday through Friday, for right now, that's just is what it is,
Yeah.
Maybe eventually we open up to the week. We want people to value their weekends. We want people to
work-life balance.
Yeah, I agree. And in the service business, most of the calls are coming in during open hours, right?
Right.
There's only a few things, maybe plumbing. Certain things might have some emergency calls, and even those will be minimal.
Right.
And in most of those cases, the companies that do have emergency services, they have it where it shuts off at our close and goes back to someone in-house that has like that emergency mobile phone or whoever's on call.
I see.
So send the phone back.
Yeah, so it's there. It exists anyway. Or they have some maybe automated messaging going out, sorry, or thanks for your call, but, you reached us outside of open hours. Here's our open hours. If you have an emergency, what's your problem? And we'll get back to you as quick as possible. That kind of.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah. It depends on their CRM, whether they have that kind of built in or not, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
What's your favorite part of running a business?
For me, at Callboss, it's the team. I've built an incredible, not by myself, but we've built an incredible team, and they've all bought into the vision. So I have 4 leaders on my leadership team, and they're all like, we're staying at Callboss until you tell us we can't come to work anymore. And never did I ever think I was going to employ 30 people. That's where we're at right now, to take calls and help people, but to buy into the vision that we have.
Nice. I watched the video on your homepage where it introduces a lot of your staff, and you could kind of just get the feel right there and then, actually, of all the people, and, good smiles on their face, little bio about them and stuff. So that was a nice personal touch there. So hats off to you for putting that on there. Yeah.
Check it out again soon because it's about to change. We just hired like 10 people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that helps recruiting as well.
Yeah.
What kind of marketing do you do? So you're doing trade shows, of course. That's where we met.
Yep.
What else do you guys do out there?
That's it. That's all we do right now. Now we're starting to network with getting partnerships, I think is the next step. And I think that's going to help us out quite a bit. There's a couple of people that we talked to quite, a lot that have started the partnership route, and they're just going to people who need the help. They just aren't aware of it, right? And that's like one of the reasons we're on this podcast. Like we're going to start going on more of a podcast journey.
Yeah.
We have our own podcast that we just started, and it's just really talking about, just things that people aren't aware of, right? There's just being aware of like how important it is to answer your phone. Like you're just wasting money if you're not answering your phone.
Yeah, and they're all spending money on ads for the most part. There are I only get referrals kind of people. I don't know why you would want to put your business in the hands of your customers, but you got to do some marketing out there, people. Not to you guys. I'm talking to the audience.
Yeah.
A good avenue might be for you, like local or state trade associations. So you pick whatever lawn service, and there'll be the Arizona State Association of Lawn Care Professionals or something like that. And they will have a trade show, and a convention where you could maybe speak and give a educational seminar at no cost or something like that. Yeah, I did learn something from Tommy Mello. We were talking before we hit the record button about Tommy A1 Garage Doors, is a $100 million plus company. And I noticed that he is so he just sold like half of his company to private equity. He wants to be $1 billion company. And I have no doubt that he will be. I've never met anybody with as much energy as like, man, Tom, can I squeeze a little of that out of there?
Yeah.
I need a sip of that, man. But I noticed he's just going on endless podcasts now, just branding himself. And he's doing it for two. I got his book, Elevate. And he's like, you should always be, your marketing should always be recruiting also, not just customers, but personnel.
Talent, yep.
So some of the beauty of coming on podcasts like this is not just branding yourself and looking for customers, but you're getting, you're attracting great employees as well.
Yep.
So
let's always be on the lookout for great employees, right? Like I went to breakfast several years ago with the guy that started Service Autopilot. Oh no, we went to breakfast. We were meeting up with him, and the waiter we had was amazing.
See?
And like literally, we told him. A couple was told about this waiter. He made a phone call, send somebody down there because like they wanted to meet this guy, see if he could potentially join their team, right? So you always got to be. I mean, that's a little out there, but you always got to be looking for talent. You always got to be like really talented people. They're out there. You just got to find them.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great tip. We're all visiting businesses, right? And man, when somebody stands out, try and steal, right?
I mean, this is what it is,
Especially for you guys where everybody's remote. That's got to be super attractive, especially if you're in a restaurant where they got to get up in the morning, commute, get dressed, put on look as good as they can and all that stuff. Yeah. Instead, be in your PJs and answer the phone from home.
That's right.
Life is good. Right. Eat all the popcorn you want.
That's right. Just not while you're on the phone.
Yeah, I like that. That's a great idea. Right. So let's talk about what's the biggest challenge you guys have faced in either of the businesses, and then how did it evolve maybe into something that was awesome for you or turned out to be great? Anything like that come to mind? Or
I mean, I think there's for both of them. Like when we started Call Boss and we got the brick and mortar, for us to get a gut punch. So like we took a big risk in getting that building. We rented this room, all this equipment and everything in there. Like it was a huge gut punch to get shut down.
Yeah.
And then figure out like how are we going to pivot. But that was a huge challenge. But I think what it did is actually it probably sped us up 2 or 3 years because it pushed us into figuring out a better way of doing things. Nikki and I we just sat down and how we have to figure out how we're going to do this. We had basically customers depending on us to figure this out. And for us to pivot so fast and really hard, really gave us an understanding of one, anything is possible. 2, if you put your mind to it, right, you can make it happen. And 3, not all bad things are bad, right? Because COVID was very bad for a lot of people. It changed and put nitrous on that on Call Boss, right?
Nice.
As Little John's, we were very lucky. We made it through COVID, and that was a very challenging year. We lost all of our great employees. They wanted to go home and get paid, and I don't blame them for that, right? It just is what it is. But what I think we've come out of the back end of it is that we've got 2 amazing supervisors here. We have a great staff we've built around us, right? So just believing in your core values and believing in having a great relationship with your employees, great things can happen, right? You can't dwell on losing those couple people. You got to figure out how to level up.
I love it. I love it. Were you stuck in a lease in that building for a little bit, or were you able to get out?
Yeah, thank goodness you said sign the smallest one. We'd try it out.
Nice.
Yeah, so 6 months.
Oh, that's not bad at all. Yeah, good thing that wasn't a 3 or 5 year lease, right?
What was her choice is going to be?
I'll be here forever.
I was like, hell no, let's just try. And we did it, and I remember moving in and just oh, thank God.
Yeah, that was lucky. It really is, it's not survival of the fittest, right? It's survival of he or she who adapts, right?
Yeah.
You got to be able to adapt. So yeah, as horrible as COVID was for so many, and we lost so many of our fellow citizens, it also, like you say, it helped companies in a lot of ways accelerate, change their business model. Even restaurants and things like that, they had to learn a different way of doing business. Or, and of course, we lost a lot of great businesses, unfortunately, but others, evolved and new great businesses were born. So, there are a lot of lessons in there. So, go with the flow.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the other thing, too, is just in there's been so many times, even with Little John's, like we've always made payroll. We've always done it. We self-funded ourselves. Like it was a struggle, right? And then like you see how many people give up. And I think the realization is like, there's always one more day, just one more day, right? Like it can turn around for you. We've had times like in the very beginning, like, please let there be a check in the mailbox, right? Like, and there was, right? And it all worked out. You believe in what you believe, and you just got to push forward. And I think that's what a lot of businesses struggle with, is that they don't believe in themselves enough. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. Well, one of the first things I think Nikki said was you do it for your team, right? Or I think I asked what was your favorite part of the business, and she said the team and the culture. When that's your answer, then you find a way to make everything else happen. When the answer is money or cars or whatever that stuff, then you're in trouble, right? If culture and your team is not number one, and it is amazing, most of the people I've interviewed who have great businesses, that's their answer. My greatest joy, I'm speaking for them now in their voice, is watching my team grow, watching my employees buy houses, raise families, take vacations, get paid well. That's the great stuff that's the foundation of a great business.
Yeah. Well, we go out and we take pictures with of our employees who get cars and stuff like that, because it's a big deal. It's a big deal, and we have a small sliver, to do with that, right?
Yeah. It's a goosebump thing. I got them going right now. So that there's nothing can give you that kind of feeling except for, helping, watching, and having a little something to do with somebody's success,
Yeah, I think one of my favorite right now this year is we have a driver. His name's Christian, and he came in after Christmas, and I asked how's Christmas? He's like, oh my God, it's the best Christmas I've ever had.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, yeah, why is that? He's like, man, in the past we've all had to draw a name and we pick so we could buy one present.
Oh,
So he goes, man, we buy presents for everybody. And I was like, that's awesome, man, right? Like that stuff. You're making a difference in their life, right?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And you have to kind of start, I think, anyway. I'm sure there's golden or silver spoon people out there who kick ass as well and do the great job. But when you start so you had two things. You started from the service industry, so you knew what the needs were. And, you started, like most of us, with not a lot. And so every little thing, was way more valuable as it grew. Each new employee, hey, we're actually a business now. We got more than just us. And then that responsibility feeling comes on, like, oh, okay, I don't get to screw around as much because now I've got X number of employees. I got to put money in their pockets every week. So that's awesome. Hats off to you for that.
Thank you.
What would you say? What's something you learned now after all years, 10 years in the service business, however long Call Boss has been going? What do you wish you knew in the beginning that is in your brain now?
You want to start that one?
Yeah, for Call Boss, we've always taken chances and we've always tried to get better. And in the beginning, like John said, everything was in paper and a notebook. And the team, again, back to that team, we've come so far with the technology just that we use in-house. Like, if we would have started with that, we'd be so much further ahead.
Right.
But now being where we are to be able to afford it, and one of the key features that I love about it is it has quality checks to keep our reps, make sure they're answering good and happy and all the things.
Nice.
And those quality checks in that software have been so instrumental. After you grade a call, they get it right away. It shows where there's smiley faces on it, or if there's a frown, then there's a comment. Like, just some things like that, and the gamification that's coming with that software is taking us so far, and I can't wait to see where we go with it.
Nice. Quality control and feedback.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it'd be knowing your numbers. I wish I would have known my numbers at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Right? I did a lot of free stuff. I didn't even realize it.
Yeah. Not knowing you were doing it for free.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
And I think that part, if we would have known in the beginning, but you don't know what you don't know, right? Yeah. And I think instrumental for us is Jonathan Prokoshnik. That was a huge one for us. That changed our life.
Yeah.
He was amazing. So meeting guys like that and understanding, being around the people that have been there, right? Like, if you look at Nikki and I, we don't really have friends that don't own companies, right? Everybody we're around are people that own companies. We've all leveled up with each other. We have this weird network of friends that we're like get along really well with, but we're all competitive and we don't really talk about it. Does that make sense? Like we just are all like just driving to try to see, I guess, like how well we can do or whatever. And I think that's healthy, right? And it's learning from people who've been there and done it, and telling the people that haven't done it to just take a hike, man. Yeah. Don't listen to it.
Yep. Yeah. Healthy competition.
Healthy competition. Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're right, John. I think pricing, it might even be more important than the booking rate, like I was saying earlier, right? Because what good is it if you're got a 90% booking rate, but if you're losing money on every job, you're just going to bankruptcy faster.
That's right. That's right.
So what the hell was that book? How to Price, Helen Rohr, R-O-H-R, Know Your Numbers, something like that. It's a simple little book for service people. She ran like a $50 million plumbing company, and she works you through the basic math on how to get your numbers correct. Because if you don't get that right, everything else is just a waste of time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Completely agree.
Yeah, I would put that number one. So I was said booking rate and answering the phone before. I take it back. That's number one. Then answering the phone, then booking the job. Pricing the job right is step one. Booking the job is step two. Closing that job, step three, right?
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. What advice would you give somebody who is just starting out right now? So, got there's a lot of we got a new sort of baby boomer generation coming out, right? I don't know what the hell they call them nowadays, but Gen Z, Y, X, I can't keep up with the damn stuff. You could tell I've orbited the sun a few times. So, but we got a whole new generations of business owners starting out there, and I'm super excited for all of them. And they need to adapt. Here we are in this AI world, right? Which is, man, you got to be able to adapt faster than ever now.
Right.
So what advice would you give if I was a 22-year-old and I'm about to start my own lawn care service? What does John the Wise and Nikki the Wise tell me? What is?
Man, I think if it was for me and if you're starting in that kind of business, and this kind of varies if you have a wife or kids or anything, but if you don't, move back in with your mom and dad or somebody. Take the risk, right? You're young. You can recover if it doesn't work out. But don't be afraid. Go for it all the way. Read as much as possible. Learn from anybody who'll talk to you. When I started my lawn care business, Nikki's just shaking her head like, damn it. Because I'd pull into a gas station like, oh, landscaper. And I'm like, hey, can I ask you some questions? And I would just ask everything. I would take notes. And I'm like, all right, thanks, man. And I was trying to learn as fast as possible and understand that you're not you're not the smartest person. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room. No. My first employee's name was Jose. Jose literally taught me how to become a landscaper.
Wow.
Taught me how to the right way of doing things, right? I told him, look, I know enough to know that I don't know. Can you teach me? And he's like, let's go. Right? People want to know that you have a weakness, right? They want to know, hey, I'm open to suggestion, right? So I know that's probably more than one thing, but
that's cool.
Take a risk, be willing to go for it. Don't spend your money on a damn new truck, right? Go out and just live meager. Understand what your goal is. A 3 to 5 year goal sounds cool, but what's a in a 3 year goal? Could you do it in 6 months, right? If you really put it to it, could you get that goal in 6 months? Could you do it in a year, right? And what's an attainable goal? And if it seems too attainable, then you need to up that ante, right? You need to really push yourself. I think when people talk to me, I think people play it way too safe. I think people are like, well, if I can grow by 5%, and you're like, what does 5% do? Right? What's your bottom number, right? Are you making money, right? If you're making money, awesome, man. Then you have some of your stuff right. Now you need to elevate and push yourself to the next.
Yeah. Good advice. Really good advice, especially if you're young, in my example, 22, whatever. Yeah. Take those risks, move back home. Great advice, and go for the moon, shoot for the moon. Hell, you can fail 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You're only going to be 30, 35. You're still a little whippersnapper, you got you can still fail 10 more times. And
when everybody else is out there drinking and everybody else having a party and like whatever, and that's fine if that's what you like to do, but just understand, like you go choose to do those things, you're putting the rest of your life behind, right? You're delaying the time to when you could potentially just take off, right?
Yeah, exactly. And affect a lot of lives, even if it's just your own family. Yeah. Right now it might be just you, but hopefully you have aspirations to partner up, maybe grow a family, or your family is your company. And I'd rather retire early. Of course, I didn't do it, but retire. We're in a different world now, right? I mean, you can make a living, putting Legos together, whatever. Some kid on YouTube is like 12 years old. He makes the most money on YouTube, more than Mr. Beast or whatever. Look at Mr. Beast. What the hell does he do? How does he explain that? What do you do for a living, Mr. Beast? I play. I have fun.
Right.
We're transforming our, going from like SEO and marketing to, I started seeing that booking rate was the biggest damn problem in my customers. And I got some customers spending 5 figures a month in ads. It's like, dude, so I'm working in the software world now also on CRM using that Go High Level platform. I don't know if you've run into that yet. That does that automation, getting them booked and then recommending companies like yourself. If they don't have somebody answering the phone, man, that's job number one. Well, number two, we said pricing. Pricing is number one. Cool stuff. Okay, let's wrap up with a couple of, any person, blog, book, audio tape, whatever that you recommend for somebody coming out of the gate.
What we got?
Current podcast that I'm following is Token CEO, Erica Nardini, who's running Barstool Sports right now.
Say that again, Nikki. What's the name of it?
Oh, yeah. Token CEO, and it's Erica Nardini from Barstool Sports.
Oh, okay, cool.
Lots of good little nuggets in there that you can just put into your business at any time for anything. And you're like, oh, that was fantastic. So lots of good stuff.
Nice. Yeah, there's a lot of great resources out there today.
Okay.
Write the book. Most recent book was Agent U, but I think it was by Nicole Lynn, I think is who she is. She is Jalen Hurts' rep. So.
Oh, yeah? Football?
Yes, from the Eagles. She's his marketing rep, or I forget, agent.
Nice.
Yeah.
So Agent University, kind of.
Agent U, Y-O-U.
Oh, Agent Y-O-U. Oh, good for her. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's set for life if Jalen Hurts is her.
Heck yeah. Then mine would be, I listen to a podcast right now called John Mattson, and it's a mindset. He owns a company called Superhuman. Super good, man. Talks about being your best 1%. And that guy it's been really interesting to listen to. And then I still like Chop Wood, Carry Water. So I think it's a good book.
Nice. Yeah, good recommendations. I love it. All right. Well, I'll let you guys wrap up the show. So maybe I didn't ask something or you want to talk about something particular. I'll leave the floor for you. Any last words of wisdom for those out there? Or maybe you want to promote something new that you're doing or something.
Words of wisdom, just always ask questions. Find a group to get involved with. I was hesitant for us to get into our first group. It was kind of expensive, but we did it, and our business would not be where it was today without being in that academy group.
Nice. What's that group that you joined?
Yeah, they're not even together anymore. It was called Service Autopilot.
There is a version thereof, but the original group is not.
I see. But good advice. Go find mentors.
I would say for me, go find a good mentor group. Don't listen to people that have never done it. And then the other thing is, Nikki and I have been together 24 years. This is not normal to be married and work together and own companies together, right? So if you are, make sure whoever you marry or whoever you marry, they need to be aligned to what you're trying to do. And marriage counseling is a great thing, even if you're not having problems, because I'm telling you, man, like businesses are so consuming of all. You need to understand that like it affects the people around you. So if you are married or you have a significant other, like that, understanding where they come from, how they see it is very, very important. And I think that for many people, They don't take the time to recognize that there's somebody else along this journey with them.
Right.
They just take it for granted.
Right. Good advice. Good advice. And always good to to speak to others and talk about problems and issues. It's working. You guys feel like you're newlyweds to me. So whatever you're doing is working, man. So keep on keeping on.
Right.
Yeah, and it was a pleasure meeting you guys in person, actually, at the Flow Expo. So I felt the mojo right away, and I'm glad you came on. It's been a while, so I had kind of lost hope, but poof, you show up out of nowhere. So thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Thanks for having us. It's been a great time.
It's been great. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Keep on keeping on. So thanks to the audience for listening. Hope you got, I'm sure you got some golden nuggets out of theirs. Create a great day out there, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Battle Plan Marketing Podcast. To power up your home service business, for show notes, visit battleplanmarketing/podcast. If you enjoyed our show, please share it on social. Until next time.